Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining us for this month's Solutions of Change monthly mental health moments. This month, we're talking about managing serious mental illness. The goal is that each person who is diagnosed with a mental health concern or disorder will receive effective intervention and reach an ever increasing amount of functionality. Though that looks different for each person's unique needs, there are strategies to assist us in addressing the spectrum of severe mental illness. With these strategies, individuals can develop an expert understanding of their mental health concern and find ways to address those concerns throughout their lifetime. Let's get started. In order to explore this, we must ask ourselves a question. What is serious mental illness? Mental, behavioral, or emotional disorder resulting in serious functional impairment. Serious mental illness substantially interferes with or limits one or more major life activities. Serious mental illness is less based on the diagnosis and more focused in the functionality of the individual. When we reach recovery in our mental health journey, it does not mean that everything will go well, but that we are more equipped to manage occurrences in our journey in a manner that keeps us functional and stable. Functionality is about how well we are managing the factors in our lives. This doesn't mean that our lives will resemble the person standing next to us. Rather, that our self esteem, our self care, relationships, professional concerns, and general lifespan occurrences will be managed in a way that works for us as individuals. Functionality is a reflection of the way you want your life to look. This considers what we value, the manner in which we want to function, and the best approach to meet our individual needs. There are many diagnoses that are common and those that are more severe. Any diagnosis that impacts our functionality in a limiting way, meaning that we are unable to function according to our wants and needs and societal norms, can be deemed as serious mental illness. It's important that we explore some mental health conditions and their warning signs to increase our awareness. So let's start with anxiety disorders. Anxiety disorders can present as ongoing fear that is intense or results in panic attacks. Panic attacks can look like intense fear, racing heartbeats, sweating, and also focusing on the worst case scenario. Depressive disorders are represented in changes in sleep, changes in motivation, concentration, a sense of hopelessness, and decreased energy. When we find that we're isolating from our loved ones and focusing on negative thought processes, those can also be signs of depressive disorders. When we talk about bipolar disorder, we are looking for those significant changes in mood that are accompanied by confusion in thoughts. Racing thoughts, extreme highs and low moods, and impulsivity can also be signs of bipolar disorder. Obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD, is something that we've heard. However, I don't think that when we talk about OCD in the manner that we would nonchalantly talk about it, that it really relates to the idea of what OCD is. OCD is unwanted intrusive thoughts that are repetitive and urges to complete certain actions without the ability to stop. Schizophrenia can present as confused thought processes, difficulty in managing emotions, inability to relate to others on an emotional level, and difficulty making decisions and an effective follow through. Borderline personality disorder, or BPD, is difficulty in regulating emotions, mood swings, impulsivity, negative self image, unstable interpersonal relationships, a fear of abandonment, feelings of emptiness, and dangerous impulsive behaviors can also be a part of the presenting symptoms of BPD. Psychosis. A psychosis is a disconnect from reality. Individuals who are experiencing psychosis may experience hallucinations and delusions. Paranoia, withdrawal, and lack of personal hygiene can also be signs that a person is experiencing psychosis. Having a good understanding of the presenting symptoms of mental health concerns and disorders is one of the ways we manage serious mental illness. Once warning signs are recognized, the question becomes, what do we do next? If you have noticed that you have difficulty in managing emotions, thought processes, self care, relationships, family and professional responsibilities, there are a few things that begin to assist us with our mental health journey. The first is help seeking behaviors. Now, if you have watched any of our Solutions of Change monthly mental health moment videos, you have heard me say over and over and over again that help seeking behaviors are some of the most important things that we can do to facilitate our mental health. So, we sometimes have difficulty with help seeking behaviors because it requires a space of acceptance, right? Accepting that there's something that we think should be under our control that's not. And so, in that, we have problem recognition, identifying that there's an issue. Once we've identified that there's an issue, that means that we've accepted that it's time for change. Next is the decision to seek help. Now, our decision to seek help can be influenced by others or it can be voluntary. So, influenced by others could sound like a friend or a family member, someone you know saying, hey, it looks like you're having difficulty with something, or, do you need someone to talk to, or someone offering you a resource that can help. Now, don't get me wrong, because sometimes it sounds like you sure are crying a lot. What's wrong with you? Or I can't talk to you when you act like this. However, sometimes that may be what we need to hear in the moment. It's not always the most functional thing, but it can help us in seeking help and continuing to address our mental health concerns. When we decide as individuals that there's something that we need to address, that means that we are voluntarily seeking help or deciding to seek help on our own. After that, it's time to select the service. When we select the service, that could be an informal support, which looks like family or friends, or maybe clergy from our church or our spiritual institution. Also, community support. That can be school counselors or support groups. And then formal services, which include psychiatrists, psychologists, professional therapists, or social workers. And so, because we are seeking a service, it doesn't mean that we always get it right the first time. So maybe talking to our friends and family or talking to the clergy doesn't solve the problem for us or doesn't help us resolve the thought process. And then we decide, okay, maybe I'll try the school counselor or support group that I heard about. And maybe you feel like, oh, there's something missing. I need some increased attention to these issues that I may be dealing with. And so you go on to those formal services and maybe seek the assistance of a therapist or a psychiatrist or psychologist or social worker. The important part is that we are exploring the services and utilizing them as a part of our help seeking behaviors. So once we're utilizing the services, it's important for us to do a self-care checklist and to think about a wellness plan and create a wellness plan. Self-care checklist just means that we are addressing specific concerns or areas of interest when it comes to self-care. Those areas of interest include our emotional self-care, psychological self-care, physical self-care, social, spiritual, financial, and professional. And so when we are addressing our needs for self-care within all these different areas, it means that we are taking a well-rounded approach that allows us to address issues that show up in many different areas of our functionality. When we talk about a wellness plan is just a plan that keeps us accountable for taking care of ourselves. And when we talk about wellness, it's our overall care. So, yes, mental health is a very important part of that, but also making sure that we have enough sleep. Addressing our education and career goal concerns, making sure that we take part in therapy if we need it, a nutritional balance, exercise, and our mental attitudes. And so sometimes we have a tendency to say, my attitude is off. Like, people say I have a bad attitude. Well, that is a part of addressing our mental health and a part of our self care, and also should be included as a part of our wellness plan. Our wellness plans keep us on track when it comes to our goals. It also allows us to say, oh, okay, I've been successful in this area, but I'm really struggling here. So maybe I need to put some of that attention into this area and say it's exercise or stress or mental attitudes, that you can adjust that energy that you are placing into nutrition, if you've got that under control, into your mental attitude. So this is a part of keeping us accountable, helping us visualize our goals, and also addressing it in a way that works for us as individuals. So, another very important part of managing serious mental illness is collaborating with medical and mental health professionals. Now, sometimes we have like that level of trust that we have to create with our medical and mental health professionals. But in order to really address the issues, especially when we're talking about a mental health concern that has created a severe functionality issue within our lives, then it's important that we think about some of the benefits of that. And being able to benefit from that means that we have to have honest dialogue, that we ask questions. It's important that we understand what our care entails. Like, what parts of this do we have control over? What questions do we need asked? What answers do we need? How does this impact us in the long run? Or how does it impact acute issues that we have? Having conversations about a medication regimen, if medication is needed. And if you are collaborating with your medical and mental health professionals and you have decided that medication is the way to go, that also keeps you accountable for taking your medication when you're supposed to. It lets you know what the side effects could be, and it also lets you know what to expect and how long it should take for medication to work. Creating and adhering to a treatment plan. Your treatment plan is something that you and your mental health provider or medical health professional work together to create goals for yourself. And so when you have that treatment plan and you've decided that, okay, these are the things that I'm going to work on, then adhering to that is important because it helps you reach those goals. It also reduces risk. When we are having this honest dialogue with our medical and mental health professionals, it means that, when issues appear, that we are addressing those issues. So we reduce the risk. It also decreases our crisis needs. And so when we are learning ways to manage our mental health, that means that when life happens, right, when things don't quite go the way we expect them to go, that we have tools and strategies to address that. So issues that could be big don't turn into crises that we find ourselves unable to control. And then it decreases emergency room visits and inpatient stays. And so again, if we are in the process of creating this functional space in our life, that means that we are going to address our medical needs, we're going to address our mental health needs, and the hope is that by addressing those, that we don't end up in the emergency room for an acute issue or end up staying in the hospital for longer term treatment, because we are managing it in a functional way on a daily basis, reaching our goals when it comes to our severe mental illness. Now that we have a general idea of how to manage serious mental illness, let's have a conversation about it. Please join us for our Solutions of Change monthly mental health moment open group forum on August the 26th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via Zoom. We'll continue the conversation about managing severe mental illness, and we'll also answer questions that you might have about yourself or a loved one or just these ideas in general. We look forward to having you, and thank you for joining us.